So I get asked this all the time, being one of the only Smash tubers that also plays traditional fighting games. What is the best fighting game for the Smash player? And today, we're going to answer that question. So this actually took me quite a bit of thought. I've been playing fighting games casual competitively since Street Fighter 4, so I've got well over 10 years under my belt. So I asked myself, what prevents the Smash player from trying other fighting games? Which is a harder question to answer than I expected it to be. You see, something like Street Fighter and Smash are actually not very different as far as actually playing the game goes. It is still about winning neutral in order to get damage on the opponent at the end of the day. In fact, from the Street Fighter player looking in, Smash is actually far more complicated, which might surprise some people. So what I really came up with is that it's execution more than anything. The way people lost it when they saw Terry's relatively simple inputs shows that execution is the barrier here. So in the games I chose today, I made a point to select either the games that A, have a simpler input option, or B, do a good job teaching you how to do the inputs. So instead of worrying so much about execution, you can figure out the timing and how to actually play the game rather than worrying about how to do your moves. So that all said, let's begin.
This is the path of my destiny. Come on!
So at number 5, I have Street Fighter V. So Street Fighter is the granddaddy of fighting games for many reasons, but the reason I can recommend Street Fighter V as a beginner's fighting game is because it will teach you how to do those inputs. Street Fighter V at this point has a massive character roster, and characters range from either being incredibly simple or extremely complicated depending on how you want to look at it, which is the exact reason I will recommend Street Fighter as a starting game. One piece of advice I was given when I first began playing Street Fighter 4 was to master Ryu first. Ryu will teach you how to do the basic inputs that most fighting games abide to, and for that reason alone, I will suggest anyone who actually wants to get good at doing these inputs to learn Ryu in Street Fighter, because once you have that basic information, those inputs become second nature to you, and you can really focus on actually learning the game. This is a very simple reason to recommend Street Fighter V as a beginner's fighting game, but it is effective at teaching you the basics if you're willing to learn how to do them. So for those of you that don't want to learn how to do these inputs, the rest of this list is actually much simpler. Spoilers, Arc System Works pretty much takes over from here.
Can't escape from crossing fate. Fight!
So at number 4, I put BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. So I can recommend BlazBlue Cross Tag for a couple simple reasons. First of all, it fits the criteria of it being a simple to learn but hard to master game. But the thing that it does is it simplifies a few universal inputs. Like for example, it has auto combos, which are always helpful when first learning a game. You can mash just one button to get you started and it will give you a basic combo. It also simplifies an important aspect of the fighting game, the Dragon Punch, which is an invincible attack that the player can use in a jam to get an opponent off them. In BB Tag, every character has one of these, and these two simple mechanics will help anybody at least get in the game and play without needing to learn complicated combos. On top of that, it's mainly a 2-button fighter, meaning that learning combos is actually far more simple compared to some of the other games. Plus, it's a tag-based game, so the complexity is there if you want it, and the relative ease of learning a new character makes it incredibly fun to try out new characters or teams and just have fun in a lobby. BB Tag is also available on Switch, making it even easier to access for the Smash player. So at number 3, Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. I'm actually a bit surprised I put Battle for the Grid above BB Tag, but Battle for the Grid does one thing that no other game on this list fully accomplishes. It literally utilizes the Smash inputs for its control system. It has 3 main attack buttons and 1 special button, which when pressed along with the direction does one of a few special moves. Battle for the Grid is arguably the most deceptively simple game here though, since it is also a versus style 3v3 game. The real depth comes with the assist system. It is actually quite a bit like BB Tag, but in my opinion much simpler to pick up and play and have a good time. At launch it was a little rocky, but now it has a hell of a robust roster and literally has the best online netcode on this list. It runs so well online that I would love to know what kind of magic they use to achieve that. At number 2, I've got Dragon Ball Fighterz. Now, the Dragon Ball Fighterz community might be shocked that I put this here since at a glance the game is complete insanity, and at the mid to higher level player you are not wrong. That said, it is one of the most beginner-friendly games I've ever played, with its solid tutorial to show you the ropes, simple inputs and auto combos to get the beginner started while they figure out their characters. A relatively robust single player for the person who hates going online, Dragon Ball Fighterz nailed being both beginner-friendly, but also complex in a way no other game really has. It doesn't have the simplified directional inputs, but the inputs it does use are no more than simple quarter circle motions for most characters, which are significantly less complicated than something like, say, a rare back air in Smash. As an example, I've played a metric ton of Fighterz, and in my experience, the absolute beginner can get up and running in mere minutes with their character of choice and have a fantastic time seeing all the crazy things that can happen. Then, if you get a taste for it and want to dive deeper, there's an absolutely insane amount of depth here for you if you're looking to improve at the game. Fighterz is one of my favorite fighting games of all time, and I'm happy to see it still going strong. However, there is one game that I do think is the absolute perfect entry-level fighting game for the Smash player.
Believe in victory. Battle 1. Engage.
And at number 1, I have Granblue Fantasy Versus. So, I love Granblue Fantasy Versus. Coming in, not even knowing what Granblue Fantasy was, I thought the game would be something I'd play for a few days, but this ended up being one of my favorite fighting games ever. But as for the reason it's on this list, Granblue Versus did what Fighterz did exceptionally well. So first of all, the game is much slower paced than something like Fighterz, but not too slow to be boring. It's a 1v1 fighting game akin to Street Fighter, so it's instantly less stressful because you're not worrying about assists coming in left and right. It has simplified inputs and auto combos, so you don't need to worry about remembering complex inputs. You can just point a direction, press a button, and you're off. However, it has the depth if you are looking for it. For example, if you do the proper input for a move, then the move recovers off of a cooldown faster and you can use it again faster. It incentivizes learning the actual input, but not forcing it on a player. It also has a great story mode, which while the plot didn't do much for me, not being a Granblue fan, the actual gameplay is a ton of fun. It's a beat-em-up style story which can absolutely teach you the basics of the game as well. You can even play it co-op, which is how I did it, and it was an absolute blast. Each character is also extremely unique and varied with a ton of personality. Hell, it even got me to check out at least the Granblue Fantasy anime because I enjoyed the characters so much. Granblue Versus, I believe, hits all the boxes I set for myself when looking for a Smash-friendly fighting game. It has simplified inputs, it's a bit slower, more methodical, rather than all the insanity something like Fighterz has. It has great tutorials, great single-player content. It checks off every box I set for myself when deciding on this list. If you want to learn how to start playing more traditional fighting games, there's no better place to start than Granblue Versus. And that's really it. Thanks for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you would like to see me make more like this, I'd love some suggestions on topics I can talk about below. As I said earlier, I want to do one of these more scripted videos a week, so feel free to drop topics below, and remember, if you did enjoy the video, please hit the like button and subscribe. It would mean the absolute world to me. Thanks again for everything, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Until then.
Finish.
これにてごめん。